Hello again and welcome back to session 4 of Partners and Parents. We're still in the early phase of parenting, and in this and the next session, your baby has recently arrived home. Experiencing pregnancy and birth can bring couples together, but it can also be really tough, especially if things don't go completely as planned during the birth and the first few weeks. Couples will often spend time during pregnancy speculating about what kinds of parents they'll be, but much less time is spent thinking about what kind of partners they'll be. And as a result, skillful communication of each other's deeper feelings and needs are sometimes obscured by the new demands of being a parent. So, in this session we'll be 1. Acknowledging that as well as being a miracle, the birth of your baby can be hugely challenging for you as a couple, and 2. Exploring 2 of the biggest stresses on your couple relationship after the birth: sleep deprivation and loss of time for intimacy. Let's look again at our couple, Julie and Suresh, who've just experienced the birth of their daughter Safia, and talk about their feelings and recollections. Julie describes how guilty and disappointed she feels, while Suresh also shares his sense of disempowerment and confusion during their time in hospital.
Morning.
Morning.
Is that sugar in your coffee? It's not like you.
I'm so tired. I just need sugar.
Don't talk about being tired. I've not slept again that whole night. You know, I can't get over the fact that what happened during the birthing time, like, why was I even sent back home? You know, like, I felt bad. I felt guilty, like, not being there for you.
Suresh, you don't need to feel guilty. You were doing what you were told to do. And
No, but I should have been there. That's the whole point. Like, especially on the night that you gave birth, I should have really have been with you and Safi.
you were there, and I mean, I know it didn't go to plan, and I feel frustrated about that. We had our birth plan, and it just all went out the window. But the most important thing is Safi is okay.
That is the main thing. You know, the main thing for me is that both of you are okay. You know, both healthy.
It wasn't as natural as I wanted, but for that moment when we got to hold her, that was the most important thing.
That was precious, wasn't it? Just us three, you know, being alone as a family, first time.
Here, Julie and Suresh were able to acknowledge just how traumatic the birth of their baby Safia was, whilst also describing it as the most amazing thing that had happened to them. It's really important that both partners have space to reflect on this experience. Some dads can end up feeling unsure of their role during the birth, and because the focus is appropriately on the mother and baby, dads can feel a lack of recognition, or that this huge experience happened only for mum and not for them both. New mums may feel a great sense of overwhelm, of love for their baby, perhaps, or trauma from the birth experience. Mums also recovering from the huge physical experience of birth, the pregnancy and probably breastfeeding now too. What an incredible amount to deal with. Making time to process what feelings took place is therefore really important. Let's now talk about how you can better manage 2 of the biggest stresses of your couple relationship after the birth: sleep deprivation and loss of time for intimacy. Having a newborn child can bond you for life, but it can also put a strain on your relationship with your partner. Flexible or special time together, which was once the norm, may become diminished. Even time on your own may disappear for a while. Your work and social time is also likely to change as friendships recede for a while to allow the focus to be on the newborn child's needs. Perhaps the biggest challenge, though, is that you and your partner's relationship with sex and intimacy will change as sleep patterns are disrupted. There are lots of differing opinions about how to develop a sleep routine for your baby, and probably the most important principle is that your baby feels loved and cared for rather than neglected. As a couple, you can decide between you how to best grab as much sleep as you can. This might include turn taking at night, especially if one or both of you has to be up for work in the morning. It's a good idea to organise time to nap during the day or take turns with earplugs. It's likely that for a period of time, how to get your baby to go to sleep and stay asleep will be the biggest preoccupation of your lives. Sleep deprivation has real consequences. Over time, a lack of sleep can impair our abilities generally and contribute to poor immune functioning, meaning you are more likely to get sick, and in the long term, this won't be good for your general health. The best thing you can do together, given that you're likely to face some months of broken sleep, is to know that you are supporting each other and to think creatively about how to grab as much sleep as you can. Remember that this is a really tough time and it will pass. By the time your tiny baby is a teenager, you'll be trying to wake them up. An additional challenge for new parents is how intimacy is now shared. Cuddling and feeding a newborn is an intimate experience, and for some couples, the focus all being on the baby and not on each other can be problematic. Sleep deprivation, complicated sleeping arrangements and birth recovery all mean that sex and intimacy is less likely between you as a couple for a while. Again, this is normal, but it needs to be acknowledged and negotiated in some way. Otherwise, resentments and hurt can easily build up. Grabbing moments together to share kind words, a brief back massage, making each other a cup of tea, running a bath for each other. These little acts of kindness go a long way. The key message we want to share with you is that although sexual intimacy and time together will be more difficult in the early stages of parenting, this will pass. Regularly reminding each other with small acts of kindness that you still care for and feel attracted to each other will speed up this process and help you to feel valued and cared for. In this session, we've seen how important it is for you to talk about the birth experience as a couple, especially when things haven't gone as planned. We've suggested how brief moments and gestures of kindness towards each other can dissipate feelings of abandonment and the reduced intimacy that can occur during this time. In the next session, we're going to continue looking at the impacts of the birth of your baby and consider some of the implications of how easy or difficult it may be to be part of a network of grandparents, uncles, aunts and others. We'll see you then.